Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Marshall here, and I am bringing you a quick replay. This one was submitted to me recently as a request to cast. In this game, we've got what looks like a 3v3 non-shared armies on a single planet system, which looks like it could probably be polar team spawns, but I've no idea. I've never seen this system before. So, we just have to remember that Oskar, Pantera Accuser, and Zack Danger are on a team. Meanwhile, Dblvn, there we go, Dblvn, Lula May, and Jupiter are also on a team. So we got the Greens versus the Blues and Reds. And here we go. So, how are the spawns? North versus south, as I would hope. So, let's have a look at what the two teams are deciding to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have these picture-in-pictures on the base areas there, so you can see if there are any big changes happening in them. So, moving around the north spawn then, Lula May starting off here with a vehicle factory, going for a 1-3 thereafter. Interesting deciding to go for vehicles rather than bots, as it must be noted that, I don't know, is PA sound really loud or something? I'm just going to decrease that just a smidgen. There we go. That's a bit better. But yes, so the vehicles are going to be alright, because of the not too distant travel time between the bases, whereas perhaps a single bot factory from the team would be good insofar as little bits of raiding are concerned, and possibly I can see that boom bots or indeed grenadiers could potentially be useful here. Getting a nice bit of scouting out there from Lula May. Be able to see some bot factories and also some sparks as well. Also, of course, vehicles is good to go for when you want to move up to T2 as far as vehicles are concerned. Levelers are the mainstay of your aggressive force as far as that's concerned. Scouting out from Dblvn as well, who went for an air factory first and is doing airfab spam. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We haven't had a single combat unit yet from this north team, which is a little concerning. Lots of vehicle factories though, so that's all good. Meanwhile, on the south spawn, what did we have? We had bots first from Zack Danger. Over to Accuser, we also had bots, double bots, Faber Spam. And this Firefly is going to be able to see that nice and easy. Oh, looky! Oskar has actually built some combat units. First combat units come from Oskar. Accolade for the game, right there. Number of docks coming out from Lula May now, who's though built a lob, so this will be good to support this Faber here. I do like this. Securing these forward mechs. Although docks will have to be careful when it comes to fighting against the Sparks. Probably want some ants in there to really dish out the blows. So what are our sort of long-term strategies wanting to be for the Faber spammers that are these players? Get T2 as soon as poss, and try to lock down the middle as soon as poss. So here we've got these Fabers here, they could go and reclaim this ant. They are instead neglecting to do so, instead wanting the metal straight off. Got Jupiter over here going for drifters of all things. And lobs from Dblvn as well. Meanwhile, down here we're getting a second air factory from Zack Danger. Probably seeing the air of red and thinking, yep, okay, well, I'm going to get up some more air to try and counter that. And of course, generally, if you see air, you do want to be getting a good bit of scout out and see how many air factories you and or your opponent has got, so that you can try and one-up them, as the air game is so important in PA. Going for T2 bots from Accuser. Interesting dichotomy here, because we've got T2 vehicles from Lula May. So levelers versus slammers, that's going to be curious. Equally, you've got shellers from the vehicles, against potential sniper bots and locust mobility from Accuser. We'll have to see how the team on the north handle that possibility of locusts, as there's so many ways into the base that can really hamper things. It's interesting how even though this is a 3v3, you've essentially got 3 1v1s along as the crow flies down the lines of latitude there. Longitude, rather. Latitude goes that away. Longitude that away. Lulamé seeing that little raiding force there, backing up just a little bit before he loses the fab. Good micromanagement there. Air from Zach Danger, though, sort of wandering around. You kind of want to be keeping your air all together rather than doing this area patrol. Because if you come across opponent's air, let's say he came across this set of 3 hummingbirds here from Lulamé. Those 3 would focus down one of these instantly and take very little damage at all. Whereas if all of Zach Danger's air was together, he'd have, what, 8 hummingbirds? And that would completely destroy these 3. But because they're all on their own like this, they're going to be in poor confrontations each and every time. So that's just a little point to note for those of you who are relatively new to PA or trying to improve your game. We might even get to more points about Air Micro later on, depending on if we see it or not. Oh, those weren't Lula's air, that was Oscar's. But all the same, point is if they came across the 3. Anyway, T2 vehicles now from Oscar as well. And this push here, not going to do too much damage. Got a nice defensive line there from De Villen. He's finally got his vehicles in order. T2 from Jupiter 2. Going for Fabs first. Fabs first is okay in this situation. But let's have a look at what Jupiter can see. He can't see himself. Okay, we won't have a look at what Jupiter can see. But he has got a radar up here, so if we look at the range of that, which we can't do either. What's going on? How come I can see that one, but not this one? I'm so very confused. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, if you can see enemy units nearby, or indeed are under threat of an enemy attack, you probably want to be going levelers first rather than a fabricator, making sure that you can actually support the move to T2 anyway. Stacking up all of these 3 T2 factories like this before getting any T2 power out, though, is what's causing this stall. So you do want to be thinking, okay, if I get my fabber out, what is it I most need? Equally, if I'm going to go for leveler or sheller first, probably leveler. And then I need to think about where it's going to be best needed. We've got T2 bots and vehicles coming up now as well from Zach Danger. We can't see many T2 slammers coming out yet, which is a little curious. Lulamé finally pressing in against Accuser here. Lots and lots of sparks and also some turret placements here. This is a really poorly thought out engagement from Lula. Trying to do a little bit of raiding on that metal there, as is obvious, but it's turtled down a little bit and losing all those units for not the best of trades, if you ask me. 1 turret, a mechs, and a few units. Not the best, but there's more where that came from. This is where you could do some cheese, like a Manhattan Docks push straight into one of these bases and completely wipe it out. That would be funny, wouldn't it? I hope one of our players does that, but I sincerely doubt it'll happen. Got our T2 fabbers here from Zach Danger, both idle. Not great. You want to be getting up that T2 mechs as soon as poss. Zach is, of course, floating energy, so he can definitely afford that little move there to the T2 mechs. We're getting some T2 bots there from Accuser. Lula doing a little raiding there. And coming out with the Sheller Leveler combo. Going for a second T2 factory. Nice. Supplementing those forces with a bit more. Lula has quite a strong economy. Not quite so strong as Oscar, though, who is over here. Let's have a look at what he's actually doing. So, second T2 vehicle factory coming up. Let's have a look at the sort of unit stats there. Mostly ants, a little bit of air, and a scout there too. Air is mostly out the front with this smaller force of tanks. But what I do like is this, sort of popping these factories closer and closer to your enemy. I do like that. It reduces the travel time from these vehicles, and it also cements this area and these mechs into relative safety. I say relative because there is this approach in this direction from Jupiter. If they had a number of docks that they would sort of stream through there as a bit of a raiding force. Should also be noted, this is a very vehicle-heavy game, bar the odd Spark and Grenadier. Boombots, therefore, would be fantastic at dealing with this. Whoa, hello. Lula May's in the base. And that's a dead Commander Accuser. That might be why you want to use your units. That are kind of sat over there not doing a huge amount. Goodbye. You are the weakest link. So that makes it a 3v2. A bit of a skirmish across here. Oscar will win this one. This is quite good, dividing the forces as well. I'm not sure this is intentional, but if Oscar decided to push in with these, that would mop up the defensive force, while these ones would be free to sort of roam around the rest of the base. But De Bvillen is on the run, so while Lula May takes out Accuser, De Bvillen's base is under siege. No more defensive docks for you. Fortunately, there are defense in the form of Jupiter and potentially even Lula May later on. So that will save the commander, but I don't know about the longevity of De Bvillen. Especially considering we've now got T2 coming up and some air as well. There are some spinners and Galata around, so the bombers won't do a huge amount, but they've nicely softened up some of those Infernos, which is never a bad thing. Let's have a look at what Lula May's doing around here, because of course now that Lula doesn't have to go for Accuser, they can send their units in other directions, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Zac Danger utilising the air for defence. Bombers trying to come in. Lula May, though, has the spinners in there just to supplement that. We have got shellers to defend here from Zac Danger, though, who has got a sizable army. Let's have a look at that count there. 15 Infernos, 4 shellers, a couple of levelers. Mostly T1 still, though. Starting to see more T2 over time. We still haven't really got the T2 bots coming into play, but this force of levelers could be crucial in this fight here from Jupiter, and it looks as though they will be. The Grenadiers are not dishing out their damage fast enough, but even though Jupiter didn't manage to really kill off Zac Danger's army or make any headway there, it did soften it up nicely. Removed all of those Grenadiers. Now, if Lula and Jupiter had combined their offensives there and coordinated, that would have been a very, very different story altogether. Oh, look at that! Oscar is in the north. Oh dear, where was the radar to see this coming? You would have thought that perhaps Jupiter wouldn't have sent out his entire force to go and die against Zac Danger. But this is interesting. De Bvillen just surviving here, or will he? Lula, you don't want your units too close to De Bvillen's commander. They're all going to go down. Oh! That was detrimental to Lula's defensive efforts there against Oscar, but that still means it's a 2v2 now. Let's have a look at the ecos there. Oscar and Lula May, definitely the big hitters in this game. Oh, look at that. A teleporter trying to come up. Faber reclaimed. No sirree, Bob, you are not getting in there with a telestrap. Now Zac Danger has his sights firmly on Lula's expansion over here. All of this T1 that is relatively poorly defended as far as the T2 game is concerned. We have got a pelter there, but that is just one. And we really want to be starting to get lots more pelters, or indeed possibly catapults, to defend this. And you're going to be wanting a lot more shellers in the mix now. Especially when you've got armies this big and even opponents' shellers coming into the fray too. Like this T2 factory here. Not sure I necessarily agree with that. Let's have a look over here, because Oscar looks like he could be making headway into Jupiter. We'll have that on that picture-in-picture over there. Meanwhile, the main fight in the main screen, though. Lula's defensive forces scrambling here, doing whatever they can, deciding, nope, we're going to abandon that factory. We're going to use it as a little bit of a bullet sponge while my Fabbers get up some defense. Unintentional, but still a very good idea if you do ever find yourself having to micromanage a defense around a base that is still standing. Use your buildings as bullet sponges, and there you go. That entire aggressive force there actually was fairly easily handled with that factory as the bullet sponge there from those shellers, because if those shellers had been focusing on the army as opposed to the factory, that would have been a very, very different situation altogether. Oscar coming in with a bit of a scout there to see what's going on in Lula's base, so that Zach Danger can see what's going on. Perhaps Zach would want to back off here, but with the catapult creeping, are you serious? No, no, no. And this air falls to the flak. Once you've got your scout, you don't want to leave it lingering over the base, especially when it's hummingbirds. If it's fireflies, that's okay, but if it's hummingbirds, you want to be conserving those, especially if the air game is something that is contested. Unfortunately in this one, rather fortunately in this one, the air game doesn't seem to have taken a front seat. Meanwhile, though, Jupiter in jeopardy. If Jupiter dies here, Jupiter most certainly will be ascending into the realms of the dead commanders. There we go. 1v2. Can Lula pull this around? With an aggressive force going into Zach Danger down here. Let's monitor that and see what happens there. The bigger problem for Lula May right now... The bigger problem for Lula May right now is Oscar's surround on the North Pole there. It also needs to be noted that that's a lot of empty expansion that Oscar is moving into and taking. This is what Lula May exactly wants to prevent from happening. So as long as Lula can defend from the south and attack on the north, Lula could potentially have a huge amount of eco here. But we'll just have to see how Lula manages to micro their army here. We have got some shellers. They are out the front though, which is not the best place for them, for that precise reason. But if we can get up some walls, this could be a very good engagement here from Lula May. We've got some catapults going on in the base, which is good, good, good. And the levelers sitting behind the T1 bullet sponges. That is also good. Now we'll kill off that army quite nicely. Lula does have to go and raid out the north now. They cannot neglect that. That is such an important area of the map now that Lula has to lock down. Zach Danger seemingly cancelled the air factories and is focusing mainly on the T2 now. Still haven't got any bots out. Just got the bot Fabbers. We're getting an army of them though. Lula with the bountiful quantities of T2 factories though. And Osco down the side here with an increasing number of T2 factories, also bountiful, and going into the air game as well. This is important to note as Lula hasn't really invested much in air, but has invested in anti-air. Can we see what Lula can see? Yes, okay, so that's working. I wonder why it wasn't working before. Let's have a look at what Lula can see of Oscar. Not a huge amount, but we do have radar coverage of the whole base, but we're just not aware that the air is the problem right now. When Lula does realise that, I would hope to start seeing some... what's the mobile flat called? Storms, that's it. Storms coming up. And this is good news, though, for Lula. Intentional or unintentional, this is going straight towards this air proxy base here, which looks like it was trying to get up some T2 air factory. But no anti-air support there. And Oscar knows that there's no hummingbirds in the sky and so can focus on bumblebees. There we go with the airfabs out there, going to expand to all of this, or get some T2 air factories. Which one will it be? Probably the expansion. Looks like it. There we go. So Lula now needs to start production on air as soon as possible, though the economy isn't looking fantastic for Lula. Having said that, they have managed to get into the base here. Not doing a huge amount of damage, but one T2 P-Gen did go down. And I think that was a fully enhanced mechs there from Zac Danger that was killed off as well. But Lula just has to scramble the defense here. Ah, there's the T2 air factories. Uh-oh, we've got some Angel play. You don't tend to see those too often. They are very good at dealing with anti-air threats, you know. Not many people really ever bother going for them, but they are surprisingly effective. Especially if you don't have air superiority. Because they just make it that extra little bit harder to get it back. This force from Lula, though, is quite strong. 34 levelers, 4 shallows, and a fair chunk of spinners in there, too. These bombers, though, are they going to fly over some flak? They will. Oh dear, we're going to get a bomber snipe here on Lula. We cannot see a bomber snipe here on Lula. There's more than enough Galata to deal with that, but still, Lula's going to want some more Galata there. Moving into the shallow range from Lula's army there. You want to get into the air game, Lula. You cannot continue this. Uh-oh. Manhattan incoming. Lula. Lula. You want to be mindful, Lula. There is danger on the horizon, quite literally. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dearie dearie dear. Lula! Can Lula pull this back? I'm not entirely convinced, but there's a huge number of T2 in this base, but there's also a Manhattan over there and Lula doesn't see it. Oh no. Can Lula kill it before it gets into the base? Oh dear. Ooh, it's going to be very, very close, but this is... Oscar is the big hitter in this game right now. Here comes the Manhattan now, moving forwards. You don't want to lose it, and there's the realization that the Manhattan exists. Lula can see it now. Hopefully we'll have all of these units focusing down on it. We do have the focus. Down it goes. A few defensive units will go down. Not too much damage there from that Manhattan, and that will be a great relief for Lula. Only a few bits of mechs, but it's better than nothing. Lula now knows what sort of dirty tactics they're up against, but they have to start making headway. They're continuing to bash at this little bit of a weakness on the south flank here of Zac Danger, and that could be a deciding factor in neutralizing the threat of Zac Danger here. That's the T2 Faber producer down, and the T2 mechs will follow suit. Perhaps not. Catapults in the base. The bombers and the Kestrels. Do we have enough AA to deal with this? We have some Galata. Flying over the flak! Oh, Oscar made some mistakes. Lula, you want to be healing up your commander, but there goes that entire T2 Air Force. And, oh, what's Oscar's commander doing on the front lines? Lula? If you can kill that commander, if you can see that commander on the front lines, hello, that's a... Oh, what? I'm just going to hop back there briefly, because I want to see... Oh, hello. There we go. This is the perfect example of why you don't have Manhattans in your base, especially near your commander. Look at this. Watch that commander's health plummet. Loses the T2 factory and most of the commander's health. That is an important moment in this game, especially for Lula May. Lula will be wanting to hunt that commander down if they even knew that that commander was there. But still, that is a prime target now for Lula. And that's actually knocked out the T2 production ability of Zac Danger. He only has the T2 Fabs left, trying to heal his commander up. Lula has the biggest luck right now because Oscar has not decided to move in. This entire army here could have made massive damage to Lula's economy on this side of the map, but it's decided not to move in for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it's decided not to. I didn't comment on the proxy telestrats up here for Moscow, because that was just so ridiculous, it didn't even bear mentioning. Never gonna get it. Bombers and Kestrels still in play. Good to see that they've decided not to go for any Hummingbirds anymore, because there's no other air threat. And this is going to be the end of Zach Danger, no doubt. Got the T2 factory back up and running, but... There's not a lot left for you now. The armies of Lula and Oskar will meet. And where's that going? Where's that going? That's going to defend Zach Danger. Oskar realizing, yep, I could move in and attack Lula, but no, I'm going to come and defend my buddy here. So my buddy is a bit more of a bullet sponge for me, but moving away from the buddy defense as the units come in. That's like saying, yep, I'm coming to defend, and throwing a paper plane over the fence. Goodbye, Zach Danger. And we're down to a 1v1. Can Lula kill the armies? Let's have a look at the army counts here, though. 67 levelers and 55 ants. Let's have a look at what Lula has in the base as a total. 33 levelers plus 21. So we're not actually too far apart in the terms of disparities. But Lula has to pick the engagements wisely, as does Oskar. Oskar has decided to neglect shellers in favour of air-to-ground. Now, it has to be mentioned that this is a significant number of bombers and kestrels, and there aren't yet any storms in Lula's army. We need them now, Lula. Never mind, we've got flak all over the place. Air is going to evaporate. They're going to try and find the commander. No way are we getting a commander snipe there. No way are we getting a commander snipe there. Close, 9%. Lula, heal your commander and get him behind some anti-air. This instant. Or do some attacking. Either way, you do have the defender's advantage on the north flank here with the shellers and the catapults and a couple of pelters in there as well, I think. Did I? Or is that just sheller shots? I mean, it's just sheller shots. But either way, defender's advantage. Let's have a look at the army counts there now. Oskar, all of a sudden, has no army. What's happened? Lula must have taken very favourable engagements in both situations here, because Lula all of a sudden has 200 army. Oskar has no air defence for his base, which is what that bomber force and kestrel force should have been saved for, really, rather than going for the comp sniper. It was so close. If only they'd waited just that little bit more, for just that little bit more supplement for their air, and that would have been an entirely different outcome to this game. And now Oskar looking very, very flimsy indeed. Can they get the air up in time? Can Lula heal their commander up in time? They are doing so. And there's more than enough anti-air now around on all approaches bar the northeast. But even there it's tricky to find that commander now. Oskar's going to try it anyway. It's not going to happen. Trying to come in on the south with Oskar realizing I've got to do something. But unfortunately, Oskar, you do not have the army to do it anymore. And when it gets to this point of the game, you do not want to be throwing away your army like that on smaller raiding. You want to be getting the scout to see if your opponent is expanding. You want to be looking to adapt your strategy. Right here, locusts would be amazing if you had enough of them. They could rush through, raid all of the metal there. All of these units in the base, though, not many left. Trying to get up some expansion, but Lula's economy now fully T2'd. is arguably what really turned this game around for Lula, as well as those favourable engagements. The massive anti-air defence. Look at this. Look at this. The bombers give up on their bombing run halfway through. I mean, they kill all the fabbers, but at what cost? Again, that should have been used in defence rather than offence. If that had been used in defence, this army would not be able to get through this base if Osco had played their cards right. Move the army down here while the air comes over, kills all the spinners, continues to soften up the army. The defensive army wipes out that offensive army, moves forward. Yes, you lose some factories and metal, but again, very few spinners. Use the air, what's left, to go over, soften that one up. Use the remaining units that weren't killed on the south to go up and finish it off. Buys you some more time to continue to expand around here, get up some more factories and produce some more units. That's what you need to do when you're in a losing and defensive situation. You have to play your cards right. And you see here, this is what should have happened. Although a focus down on those spinners. But you see there, how this army now evaporated. We've still got a sizable number of levelers here. And had you actually focused down the spinners, you would have had more in the way of air defense as well, to then go and deal with this North army that doesn't have many levelers. The defensive army is entirely levelers. And there you go. That's what you've got to do when you're on the defensive and losing foot. You've got to play opportunistically and intelligently, and I'm not sure that Oscar did that. Lula May had exactly the right balance of offence and turtling in this game. And that, my dear friends, will be that. Good game to Lula May and friends. Lula May did a very good job of bringing that back from a 2v1 situation there. Hope you enjoyed, folks. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see. I've been the Marshal, and as always, have a good day.